And welcome to my bi-monthly press briefing, where I usually take the opportunity to make a few announcements and to answer any pressing questions you might have. This morning, I'm happy to make 3 announcements, all of them in a unique way, aimed at strengthening the tourism sector, contributing to the enjoyment of our environment by the people of this territory, and by extension, strengthening the overall economy. These initiatives are the Prospect Reef Development Project, the Caribbean Development Project, and a project very dear to me, the Queen Elizabeth Park II Park Project. Let me start with the Queen Elizabeth II Park, a project I'm excited about. We wanted to have a press briefing there this morning, but for logistical reasons, I decided to have it here at my office. But I'll nevertheless give you a flavor of what is planned for the park. The works include the restoration and expansion of the park. Once completed, it is expected to be an attractive seaside amenity to enjoy by all the people of this territory. The park will also be a safe play area for children, give us much needed green open space, and contribute to our health and well-being. This new park will include pathways and hard landscaping, car park, boardwalk, a lookout point, picnic area, children's playground, central lawn with island, water features, shaded structures, and seating. Additionally, the design improvements to the park will provide much-needed public amenities in the Rotang area that will be in keeping with government's desire to improve Rotang's image. The project is in line with the government of the Virgin Islands' vision to improve the quality of life of all residents in this territory. It is also an important enhancement to the tourism product. We have already started to procure goods for the site in order to begin work on this project. I will now turn my attention to the Caribbean Development Bank Road Infrastructure Rehabilitation Development Project. I firmly believe that having a strong road network is critically important to the territory. As you know, when my government got into office, we were able to finalize access to a loan of $15.6 million from the Caribbean Development Bank, which the previous government had negotiated, to upgrade and reconstruct the damaged roads, ravaged and drainage system by Tropical Storm Otto in October 2010. In July of this year, through the Ministry of Finance, we invited tenders for the implementation of the road and bridge rehabilitation works in Pleasant Valley to upgrade and improve drainage in the area. Then in early October, we invited tenders for the implementation of the road and slope restoration works, including drainage diversions at Bally's Bay. I'm pleased to say that bids are in today for 2 of these projects, together valued at just over $1.2 million, so that work will start on those projects in short order. I'm looking forward to that start. I'd also like to comment at this time on the process of using monies from the Caribbean Development Bank. The regulations guiding the bank indicate that the proceeds of financing the ordinary operations of the bank shall normally be used only for procurement in territories of members. This means that the procurement of goods will be coming from the Caribbean, Europe, and Latin America. The Charter also requires that the bank ensures that the proceeds of any loan grant made, generated or participated in by the bank, are used only for the purpose for which the financing was granted, and with due regard to considerations of economy and efficiency. I believe that a quality road infrastructure is critically important to strengthen our tourism product. Furthermore, by addressing the challenges with the road, we are ensuring the safety of all pedestrians and motorists traversing the area. I now turn my attention to the Prospect Reef Development Project. When my administration served from 2003 to 2007, on February 2011-2005, we concluded the agreement to purchase a resort from the Cripps family for the purposes of establishing a world-class hospitality training center and a full-service business hotel. This purchase signified a deep commitment to empowering the people of this territory. For example, it was an avenue to prepare leaders in the hospitality industry to take up positions of authority and responsibility at all levels. Back then, the decision to purchase Prospect Reef and transform it into a world-class hospitality training center was not a small idea. In fact, it was a significant undertaking based on a larger vision for the future of our tourism industry. But after we left office, this project was given no priority, and nothing materialized from this opportunity. But here we are once again, set to transform this resort into a world-class 4 or 5-star hotel facility to improve our tourism offering. And we are ready to begin moving forward with this important project. On April 5, 2013, my government sent out a tender notice inviting suitably qualified long-term firms to express interest in developing the site. Based on the presentations made, the decision was made to further pursue 2 of the proposals. Naturally, they were asked to produce detailed proposals that could be evaluated through a formal process of evaluation, negotiation, and selection. In the end, on October 24th, developer McAlpine was successful in securing the opportunity to transform the property to a world-class luxury resort. McAlpine intends to develop the property over a period of 3 years. Development includes the construction of villas, hotel suites, recreational facilities, conference facilities, branded condominiums, office space, restaurants, for example, on the property. McAlpine intends to expend up to $100 million in carrying out the development. The government is pleased that the selection was made, and I'd be more pleased to say that we are now in the process of finalizing the project development agreement. I'm a firm believer that government cannot do it alone, and that is why I welcome this investment opportunity, which is expected to add quality jobs to our workforce, create opportunities for Virgin Islanders to participate in the project development and operations, and contribute to the territory's long-term economic growth. As I take my seat to prepare for our discourse, I want to encourage you to look out for our e-magazine titled Your Government at Work. A magazine graphically setting out government's accomplishments from November 11, 2011, the date of the first day my government walked through the doors, to November 2013. It will be disseminated this Wednesday, and I encourage all persons to get online and read it to get a clear sense of my government's accomplishments and ongoing commitment to building a better Virgin Islands. Hard copies will also be available for those who cannot go online at various locations. I'd like to thank you all who are present today, and I invite your questions.
Good morning, Premier Smith, Gordon French from BVI Platinum. Just a few questions regarding the agreement with McAlpine. Could you say what is the value of the agreement in terms of, are they buying or is it a lease agreement? What is it?
What I just said when I made the statement was that we're in the final stages of negotiating the development agreement. So as soon as that is complete, I'll be able to give all the details.
What you say, you can't say if it'll be a buyout or a lease?
We are, agreeing or developing the final agreement between government and McAlpine. And as soon as that is complete, we'll be able to give the details.
All right, going back to the Queen Elizabeth II Park development. The last time I saw the project, a drawing actually, it showed a dock facility in there. Could you say if that will be owned by the government or will it be private-public partnership?
The dock facility is not a major part of the Queen Elizabeth II development. What I described earlier, those are the parts which we are developing at this point in time.
Good morning, Zan Lewis, ZBVI Radio, the Queen Elizabeth Park. When do you think work will begin in earnest? It is said that mobilization is taking place. And do you think it will begin in earnest? And what cost we're looking at?
The work will begin shortly. I'll be able to, in a few days, give you the exact date of beginning. Because we have already put tenders out and have persons who are being selected to do the work. And as soon as that is complete, we'll be able to tell you the exact date of the beginning of the work.
What cost are you looking at?
The estimate for the construction of the park was in the region of $500,000 at this moment, and it depends on how much is done to the park. As the park develops, more features will be added over time.
The road development, you said 2 bids are in. Are you in a position to tell us where these bids came from, who they came from, and also the road development? What roads will be concentrated on first will be the priority?
No, what I actually said was that proposals and tenders went out for 2 projects, and bids are coming in today for those projects. And then the Ballast Bay area.
Malika McPherson, the Island Sun newspaper. Just going back to Mr. French's first question about the McAlpine arrangement. I know you said it's too early to give further details, but from your, basically the sense you're getting now, would you classify it as a public-private partnership?
It is possible that it may be classified that way, but I see it as a project which will be taken on by McAlpine and developed and run and managed by McAlpine.
What gave McAlpine the edge over the others, and how many bids were received?
There were 5 groups who were interested, and they were looked at by the selection committee, who made a recommendation, and that was the recommendation we went on. And was basically essentially because of the proposal they made based on what they expected to put in the project in terms of finances and in terms of the structures and the number of rooms, and for example the conference room facility which will go in, and also the suggestion of teaching facilities as well.
Any thoughts regarding local participation, and is the government prepared to put any funding towards this?
Local participation is encouraged in all government projects, and I cannot tell you at this point what local participation there will be in the project, but I know that there will be. But I cannot tell you at this point how much local participation or who the players will be. But I know that the person who we are negotiating with, who is going to take the project forward, is McAlpine.
Second part of the question, is the government prepared to put any funding at all towards this?
I do not think that it will be necessary for the government to put funding.
Regarding the McAlpine project, that Prospect Reef, there's been talk in the past about previous legal obligations due to the timeshare owners. How certain are you that government is free of those obligations from the timeshare owners, from the previous owners?
When the property was purchased, it was purchased free and clear of any obligation whatsoever.
So you're confident then that all of those obligations have been settled and there's no outstanding legal claims against the government?
That is correct.
You said that you were going to have discussions with Carnival to see if you could bring them back to the BVI beyond 2014, 2015. Have you held any discussions with Carnival as yet, and what has been the response if there has been any discussion?
Discussions with Carnival are ongoing.
Have you personally met with the Carnival or reps?
I have, and the discussions are ongoing.
And can you say what is the anticipated response of Carnival? Do you expect them to come back?
I cannot say what is the anticipated response. I can assure you that we are having discussions, and my objective is to have them continue to come to the British Virgin Islands.
How confident are you that you will achieve your objective?
I will do my best, and one cannot determine at the beginning of the negotiation where it will end, but that is my intention.
So you're not confident at this time? You're not in a position to say at this time whether it will happen? You don't have the confidence in you?
Of course, I've come confident in my negotiation, but I cannot tell you what the result of the negotiation will be before, in the middle of the negotiation.
You know, who you have been speaking with Carnival?
I think what I've said is that we started discussions with them, and discussions are ongoing, and I can't make any further statement.
Who you have been speaking with in Carnival, sir?
No, I just repeat what I said, that we have entered discussions with Carnival and they are ongoing.
The reason why I'm asking that, sir, it seems as though USBI is taking up the slack, where BVI has failed to deal with, so to speak, where they're now having discussions with the CEO to get Carnival improve their visits or to increase their visits to the SBI. And they have made it clear that they're speaking with the CEO. That's right. Premier, when you called this press conference today, I was hoping to hear in relation to how your government has been performing in light of the recent criticisms and severe criticisms. And not actually to hear about the Queen Elizabeth, the road network, which are all good. Are you not satisfied or feel proud at this point to tell us how your government has been performing, but you chose not to address it?
I think that is an unfair question and statement. And I said in my address a few minutes ago that we will be putting out a booklet establishing the accomplishments of government and what we have done in the past 2 years. And that is so. But what my statement actually this morning suggests and demonstrated to you, now what this government is intent on doing is building the economy by securing investments in capital investment in the economy. And I'll be able to, within the next several weeks, be able to make further announcements on further investments in the territory. One cannot manage an economy by simply spending money that is saved. Eventually that money comes to an end. It is important that there must be some means and some method of growing building the economy.
Let me ask you two questions to that, sir, as you're talking about the economy. Premier, are you satisfied as a government that, are you satisfied with the performance, the government's performance within the last 2 years? Right? Are you satisfied with that? And are you satisfied with the work done since then in building the economy?
I am, of course, satisfied. If you recall, when we were in office in 2003 to 2007, we began many projects to stimulate the economy, to get monies flowing, to get jobs going in the economy. And some of those were actually discontinued after the government left office. Fortunately, two of those major projects continued. That's the Oil Nut Bay project and the Scrub Island project. Those are two major projects which continue and are continuing to this day. We are now again seeking to get investments going in the country, because that is the only way you can build the economy. And that is the objective of this government. And we are making good progress. It is when you start this kind of process towards development, it takes a little while before you can see the fruits of it. So I am quite content that we are doing well.
Premier Smith, somewhat following up on Mr. Lewis's question and noting what you said about your e-magazine that is going to come out soon, I must ask, during your 2003 to 2007 term, you were known for putting out a comprehensive statement called the State of the Territory Address, which spoke about the economic outlook and other matters that were deemed to be necessary, basically for the public hearing. You haven't done that since. Will you be doing such a statement in the near future?
I will be making a statement in the House at the next sitting of the House.
What is the intended budget address date?
I cannot tell you when is the intended budget address date. That is yet to be determined.
Kathy Richards from the Virgin Islands News Online. To follow up on what Zion had asked about your term in office, what are some of the lessons you would have learned over that period, and what would you do differently, if anything at all, for the next coming 2 years?
What we have done during the past 2 years is set the stage for building the economy. That is, we've reviewed the whole financial management system, which is important. And we've been talking to in people who could invest in the territory. We've been expanding our reach as far as tourism is concerned. We've been expanding our reach as far as financial services is concerned. And so these are all preparatory things which were important in order to set the stage for building the economy.
What, if anything, do for the next 2 years?
What you will notice, as I mentioned earlier, is that we will be able to make announcements over a period of time of new investments which are coming on stream into this territory.
And Premier, would you maintain, you said that for the past 2 years you're satisfied that you guys have done well. Would you maintain the statement that the economy is robust at this time still?
I will not use the term robust because robust is a misunderstood and misused term. But I'm satisfied that what we are doing is good for the economy and is important and necessary to be able to grow the economy. I appreciate that at the moment that there are persons who have lost jobs. I also appreciate that jobs are being created in other areas. And so that's what happens during the economy. And what we have tried our best to do is to assist those persons who lost jobs to be replaced and so. But in the meantime, the overarching goal is to be able to expand the economy so there be more jobs created. For example, the construction of the Prospect Reef Hotel will create a significant number of jobs on Tortola during the construction phase, and will also create jobs during the management phase after the construction.
Can you give a ratio as to the amount of job lost to that of those that have been created?
No, I wouldn't be able to. That is something I can find, but I would not be able to give you that at the moment.
Premier Smith, going back to tourism and investment. Now, recently the BVI Airports Authority signed a deal with IAMJet based out of Barbados. And there was some suggestion that the government should review that deal since you did not give local operators an opportunity to participate in the bid process. And there's also the suggestion that there should have been a bid process since the protocols that is signed in the UK indicate that there should be bids for major projects such as the one signed with IAMJet. Do you plan to review that, and do you plan to have any discussion with two local companies?
The decision to have the facility at the airport was not a major project as you put it. It's essentially a service that's going to be provided by this company. And so the company will fit out the facilities to suit their purpose. But it is essentially a service to be provided.
That's a follow-up. But there are two local companies that are that are providing the service already. Do you think that they should have been given an opportunity to at least see if they could participate or see if they could be part of this project or take it on by themselves? Do you think so?
The local companies will continue to provide a service. They're not going to be shut out from providing a service, but this is a specific service which we think is needed.
With regards to the economy, prior to the election, your government pledged to undertake a thorough review of the building permit process in order to speed it up, in order to reduce the time it takes to get a permit approved. Has this review occurred, and how much faster is the process as a result?
The building permit, basically I think he's speaking about the process where applications are made at the Town and Country Planning Department. Yeah. That process has been refined. It's continuing to be refined, but I can tell you that there are very few building proposals which are held up or which are now waiting to be reviewed by the department.
It also said that that construction starts, new construction starts, were going to be considered an indicator of the health of the economy. Do you have that data on construction starts, and what is the trend?
I do not have the data on construction starts at this moment. That is something I'll have to research and then be able to ask a specific question, and I'll be able to provide that for you.
Premier Smith, just going back to what you mentioned about the CDB loan project. You mentioned that there's a limitation on where the materials can be sourced from. Do you anticipate that this might cause an increase in the material cost, considering that U.S. suppliers are not an option?
I mentioned that the materials must be sourced from CDB member countries. Okay? And basically most of the material which can be used, which is cement and sand, etc., is to a large extent now sourced by CDB member countries and can be sourced from CDB member countries quite easily.
Premier, do you have any problem with the recent Auditor General's report that was released?
What do you mean if I have a problem? If you have a specific question, I'll be happy to respond.
A certain minister had problems with it. Do you have any problems with it?
Again, if you have a specific question, I'll be happy to respond to you.
The Auditor General released a certain statement about the port development. Do you see the document as being accurate?
Do you have any specific questions about any part of the document that you wish me to comment on?
It's unfortunate, sir, that I didn't get an opportunity to look at the document, right? But judging from what the Communication Works Minister said, who I believe would have seen it and would have questioned the authenticity of the document, saying that it should be reviewed, it seems like he would have seen it, and I believe if he would have seen it, government would also have seen it. Did you see the document, sir?
I think what would be useful, as I understand, is that you would get hold of the document and look at it, and then I can answer the questions that you may have on it.
Premier, you made a statement following the release of the document, which is an indication that you saw the document.
That is correct. Yeah.
So, and you didn't question the authenticity of the document. You didn't question if it was accurate. But after you made your statement, another government minister came out and questioned the authenticity of that document. I found it strange after you spoke, another person would have came and speak after that. That's another issue. Sir, he said it's not accurate. I'm saying that for a government minister to question the accuracy of a document by somebody employed by government, it's a bad sign that the Auditor General may not be doing her work effectively. So I'm asking you, sir, after seeing that document and read through that document and is your statement on that document, what do you think is an accurate document?
You know, Mzan, I'll be very happy to answer a specific question for you. I think you are asking if the something about which part of the process are you?
I didn't see the document, sir. I believe you would have seen the document. What you read or what you would have seen, because the Communication Works Minister said it was not an accurate document. And you saw the document. What are your views? Is the Communication Works Minister wrong? What are your feelings?
Let me tell you about the document. First of all, the procurement process is handled by a committee, and no members of government, no ministers, no backbenchers are part of that committee. The committee, the procurement committee, looks and reviews the whatever submissions. They make the report to government. Government then decides whether they will agree or not agree to the report. The procurement committee made a report and government accepted the report made by them. So there was no involvement of any minister of government in the determination of the procurement process.
One last question, will it be laid on the table of the House, the document?
The document is not in my hands. It is in the hands of the Auditor General and the Public Accounts Committee. If the Public Accounts Committee decides to do a report based on that document, then that document will form part of the report that is laid in the House.
Premier, I have a question. The investigation that is ongoing with the Korean and the immigration officer, what stage is that at?
That was an unfortunate incident, but as you correctly said, it has been investigated, and I cannot make a further statement until I myself I've been in receipt of a report, which I am not at this moment.
Could you confirm whether or not the officer is back on the job?
As I said, it's being investigated, and as soon as the report comes out, I'll be able to make a comment.
Premier Smith, some months ago it came out in the media that Mr. Al Henley was selected by Cabinet as Deputy Director of Ports. Can you say whether you're still going ahead with this appointment? That's one question. And I want to get in the second one in relation to France. Can you say what is the latest position with France blacklisting the BVI?
On the matter of the Deputy Director of Ports, the Cabinet has made no further decision about that matter. And once the Minister brings the matter to Cabinet, then the Cabinet will make a decision. As far as the blacklisting of the territory is concerned, the government has had discussions with France as far as the blacklisting is concerned, and France are now satisfied with the processes which we have in place. We now have to make sure to provide all the required information that they want, which is expected under the tax information exchange agreements.
Premier, a number of persons have been stating that when the Great Mountain Road was being constructed, they had an arrangement with government that they would have been paid for properties, but nothing has been done, and they are waiting without any reasonable response. Are you aware of this, and if so, what is your government prepared to do?
And could you repeat that? They would have been paid for what?
For properties.
What do you mean by that?
When the Great Mountain Road was being constructed, they were promised that they would have been paid for the properties through which the road would have run.
Oh, you mean when the private property was encroached on by the road?
Yes.
Of course, those people will be compensated for the property which was included in the road, yes.
This has been for several years. Why should they believe that they'll be compensated at this time?
Usually when government builds roads, there are discussions with the property owners, and the settlement is usually arrived at and the people are paid. Now in some cases where maybe the settlement has not been complete, the discussion has not been complete, maybe those persons have not been paid. But as far as the Ministry of Finance is concerned, all claims which are legit will be paid.
You have a timeline?
It depends on what the claims are. If you said there are claims which are outstanding for several years, there is probably a reason why they've been outstanding, and that will have to be determined. But as far as I'm concerned, all claims which are legit will be paid.
Okay, another question. It is said that your government owes a number of local contractors for work done. Seemingly is unable to pay because of the fact that probably things aren't as robust as they ought to be. What would your government response be?
What I will say is that I know that those persons who are owed will be paid shortly. What I'll also say is that in 2011, November, when we came into office, the running balance was about maybe in the region of $40 million, which meant that people were owed in the region of $40 million, which eventually were paid. At the same time, in this year, the running balance is in the region of $17 million, which is quite a difference, which means essentially that the government has been making up ground and been able to pay the bills which have been incurred by the past government and by this government, while at the same time trying to get investment into the country to stimulate the economy.
So, where will that money come from to pay these people?
What do you mean, where will the money come from?
If they have been paid and they are waiting, does it mean your government doesn't have enough money? And where do you plan to source the money?
The monies that government has to make payments on whatever they procure comes in continuously during the year. And while it is, you may not have money at one particular point in time, later on in time, monies will be there to make payments when that's necessary.
Premier Smith, I think it was last month or the month before when we were here at one of your briefings, you spoke about FATCA and the BVI's attempt to get on board with that. I'm just seeking an update. I know this week one of the sister OTs signed an agreement for the UK FATCA, and they're the first. And in an interview with the FS, I learned that the US FATCA negotiations were stalled by the US shutdown. Has the negotiations resumed, and would the BVI be moving forward with its signing for the UK FATCA?
You're correct. And there was a halt during the shutdown, but those negotiations have continued, and we will be pursuing the signing of the FATCA with the US. Good. I want to thank you very much for attending. Look forward to discussions again in a few weeks.